Hi guys, this is Pyrostasis from TDK Industries and EVE Online, and I'm just going to go over a brief tutorial on scanning. Now, scanning is it's pretty much required for exploration. That's how exploration works. If you're in a wormhole, you pretty much don't have anything on grid, so you have to scan it, and it can also be pretty effective for PvP. This is my alt. We're currently in our wormhole, and I'm just going to go over some basic methods on how I scan things down. Scanning, probably there's a million different ways to do it. Some of them are better than others, and I'm just going to go over how I personally do it. And you can use my method, or even better yet, see how I do it and play around with it and make it your own. Come up with your own method. One of the things to always think about is if you're in hostile space, you want to be careful with how you go about doing it. I always warp to a safe spot. You can hang out at a pause. You can hang up off of a station. However you want to go about doing it. Just make sure that you're in a safe spot for while you're doing it. I always go with 4 probes. I use core sisters, but you can use normal probes. You can use any setup you prefer. Once you've deployed your probes, the key thing about it is you don't have to stay out in space. If you've got a pause, you can go and hang out there. You can cloak and hang out at a safe spot. Whatever you do, if you're in hostile space, you don't want to be just chilling at a planet, not paying attention and looking at the map, because it's a good way to get dead. Since I am heading back to the pause, we'll go ahead and take a look at the scanning screen. Now, with this is your typical top-down view. I always start top-down. Depending on the system size, depends on what size probes you want to use. You always want to click here and then press Control A. That will highlight them all. That way you don't have to set each individual probe one by one. That's a pain in the ass. The non-combat probes, the core scanner probes, have a cap AU at 32. So like our system right here is a little bit big. So you're not going to be able to see, you're not going to be able to get coverage on everything. But you really don't have to, because one of the things about signatures is they usually spawn around planets or celestial bodies. So right here in the middle, and on the right over here are going to be the places that I'm probably going to get a signature. I've never seen one off grid out here. I'm not going to say it can't happen, because as soon as I do, it will. But try scanning around the planets and things like that. Now, once you scan, you're going to get stuff popping up down here. Cosmic anomalies right here, you only have to really have one probe out, and you get 100% pop every time. These are just basic combat sites that you can warp to. So it doesn't take a lot of skill. The rest of these here are going to be the actual sites, things like wormholes, gas sites, grav sites, which are asteroids, magnometric, hacking, archaeology, things like that. Stuff that's a little bit more difficult to scan. Occasionally, if you have a half-ass signature, like you don't quite got it covered, you'll get something like this, where we've got just the ZGW here. We've got 2 different signatures from him. Well, usually that happens because only 2 of your probes are popping signatures, so it's not quite sure where it is. If you'll notice over here with VOB, it's a circle. That means only one of my probes has it, and that's because it's over here on the edge. So I'm only going to get this circle. So we're going to do that one, because that one's, I guess would say, is a little bit more difficult. Now you could change your size, but it's probably not good to do that until you get the signature. So with the circle, you want to reorganize your probes around the signature. So as you can see, in the 3D view, they cover that little red circle pretty good. We're going to go ahead and analyze again. They're going to move the probes over to that area and scan. Another thing you want to consider is, if somebody is paying attention, they're going to see your scanner probes on the directional scan as long as they're within range. So you want to be careful with how long, how close to the topic or the target that you leave the probes out, and how long you leave them out. As soon as you find the signature, if it's PvP related, you want to get those probes out of there, or at least out of range, so that whoever you're hunting doesn't notice. Now, we did get VOB, but we still have 2 dots, and that's because this probe here isn't quite close enough to get a triangulation. So we're just going to slide these over a little bit more, and that should get us down to 1 dot. So we're going to go ahead and rescan. And they move, and that should pull us up 1 dot, hopefully. Bam. There we go. 1 dot. Now we've got 5% signature strength. We can't warp to it yet because we just don't really have a good lock on it. We're going to drop it down to 16. If it's a yellow dot, you can sometimes skip ranges and get a better chance at locking it down faster. But when it's a red dot, that means you have a general idea where it is, but it can fluctuate. This is a little bit off grid up above, as you can tell. But since it's a red dot, I'm going to move these probes up, but my next scan, I may have to move them again. I always like to set it up to where the points kind of touch the dot. You can move them how you like. You only need to have, I think you only have to have 3, but I like using 4 just in case. Some people like to stack it above and below. It's all personal preference. Rescanning at 16, and that bumps up our signature a couple percent. Not a big deal. Knock it down to 8 AUs, and then we recenter again. And make sure you zoom in a little bit with each level, because from the top-down view it'll look like you're close, but as you zoom in and get closer, you'll realize, oh, okay, well, it wasn't quite there. Now you'll notice it's back down low. That's because we just don't have a really good lock on this guy. So it's going to bounce up and down a little bit, or left to right, while we get a little bit more accurate signature. So I've moved the probes back down. We're at 8.3%. Going to rescan. Now on some of the harder sites, like grav sites, Class 6 wormholes, Class 5 wormholes, sometimes it's a real pain in the ass to get them locked down. You may have to get it all the way down to 0.25 AUs. But for the standard sites, you don't have to have crazy skills to get it. But some of the harder sites, you're going to need to use rigs on your covert op ship, and definitely use a covert op ship. Something with scanning bonuses, and it helps to have your skills around 4. And I notice it didn't jump this time, which is nice. It stayed roughly where it is. For those of you that haven't done this before, if you hold left click, it changes your relation in 3D, so you can slide it around and look at it from the top down and from the side view. Right click and hold moves you around back and forth, and obviously scrolling zooms in and out. Now you notice it switched to yellow, and we're up to 58%. We've got a pretty damn good lock. Probably only going to have to get it to 2 or maybe 1 AUs to get a good one. When it switches to yellow, that means you're pretty damn good. You've got a very good idea of where the signature is located, and it's probably not going to drift much anymore. You just want to make sure that you've gotten it tightened up, that you're roughly on the same plane as the signature, and it should go green either this time or the next time. Sometimes they're stubborn. They'll give you like a 98.6%, and not quite want to give it up. But this time it pops 100. Again, if you're in a PvP situation, I'd recommend not warping to 0, because it's possible there's somebody sitting on the signature or on the person. If it's a combat site, like if it's a grav site, ladar site, magnometric, anything like that, odds are it's going to have rats sitting there waiting for you. If you're going in with your covert op ship, you probably don't want to go in at 0, because if you're cloaked, you bump into the NPC, all of a sudden you're uncloaked, and your squishy little covert op ship is goo. So warp in at range. It's not exact science. Sometimes you'll warp in at 100 and you'll end up 30 AU off the rats. Sometimes you'll warp in at 0 and you'll end up 60 AU off the rats. You kind of got to play around with it. And we located a wormhole. And there he is. And you can get info off the wormholes. It'll tell you where it goes. This one right here goes into another wormhole. You can see that it's reaching the end of its lifetime. Usually means you've got between 2 hours and 4 hours, or 0 hours and 4 hours. And you can see not much has gone through the hole. Always make sure that you recover your active probes, because the sister ones can get kind of expensive and you don't want to lose those. If you disconnect, you can always reconnect to the lost probe, so don't freak out. It's not that big a deal. Definitely remember to bookmark your signatures. That makes scanning them down easy. If you have it bookmarked, you simply warp to the signature that you know is there. You drop the probes right on you, spread them out just a little bit, rescan, and you instantly get a 100% lock. That way, you know, if you've got something that's going to be around for a couple of days, it's easier to find that. You can also, bookmarks leave as you can see here, these little pins. They leave pin marks, so you can just drag your probes to all the sites that you know, scan, get the 100% signatures, jack it back out to 32 or 16 AUs, rescan, and you can see the signatures that you haven't gotten yet. If you're going to be in a wormhole or a low sec for an extended period of time, I highly recommend you save those, the bookmarks of signatures that disappear, relabel them as safes, and you've got nice safe spots that are off of the celestial bodies or close to celestial bodies, so you can look like you're warping to one thing and you're actually warping to another, to your safe spot. Anyways, that concludes the basic scanning tutorial. That'll help you find wormholes and other interesting exploration sites. Should you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. And have fun, fly safe.